The Atlanta Braves get a series win over the Giants this past weekend thanks to a great performance by Spencer Strider on the mound and some heroic offense by Eddie Rosario. Also in the minor league level, Drew Lugbauer gets promoted and continues to slug. We'll talk about that in our Minors Monday segment and all that on today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on Twitter at shortstopball. Also, check out my written work over at bravestoday.com. Make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're new, hit that subscribe button. Up over 6,600 subscribers on YouTube now. Make sure you're watching this video. You hit the thumbs up button as well to help spread the love and share the show with others. You guys killing it here lately. The Mailbag podcast on Fridays up to almost 5,000 views, almost 200 likes. We're well over 100 comments. Thank you so much for all the support. It makes it so much more fun to do this podcast when I can interact with all of you who are listening to the show and you interact back with me. So I really do appreciate all that. Thanks so much for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. We got some everydayers from the last video: Gustavo, Walker Houston, and Blake Newsome. Thanks so much for letting me know that you are part of the everyday gang here at Locked On Braves. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB, and get $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Another good weekend for the Braves. They get a series win, this one over the San Francisco Giants. We'll talk about that. Spencer Strider's start. Ozuna and Rosario continue to carry the offense as well, and we'll discuss all of that. Chirinos, Max Fried, and their starts. And then we'll get into our Minors Monday segment, as we always do here on Monday, where Drew Lugbauer gets promoted to AAA and just continues to mash. There are some obvious holes in his game, but we'll discuss that and some more good performances down on the farm for the Atlanta Braves. Let's start with that weekend recap, that series win over the Giants. Could have been a sweep. You know, you had a tough loss on Sunday, 1-run loss. I didn't feel like the Braves played their best over the weekend, but still got a win against a postseason contender, a team that's in the postseason right now in the second wild card spot. If the season were to end today, I know they've been struggling a little bit lately. Their offense is a little bit down. They still got some really good pitching, which held down the Braves offense a little bit in this game, but overall a series win. Can't complain too much there for the Braves getting it done in that fashion over the weekend. Now, as for that weekend and how things went down, you had another great performance by Spencer Strider. 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, no earned, and 10 strikeouts for Spencer Strider in that outing on Friday night. Back-to-back 7-inning shutout performances. I still think, if I'm nitpicking a little bit, the fastball command is still, varies here and there, and he kind of loses it. But still, he does have that velocity back. It's more up into the 98s that we are accustomed to seeing from Spencer Strider, opposed to earlier in the year where it just felt like he was sitting more 96, 97. Now we're seeing more 90, 98s. I believe there was 100 in this game as well. So that's great to see for Spencer Strider. Hopefully that continues and he can keep up that dominant level of pitching that we're seeing from him right now. ERA is down to 3.57. I've said all along, if he can get it, under 3.5 and maybe a little bit more than that, maybe down to the 3.3 range, I think he moves up to the leader in the NL Cy Young race. I think, he has all the other numbers there, but, more importantly for the Braves, they just need to see Spencer Strider get on a roll like this, more consistent, finding that fastball command, being more consistent with it, and seeing performances like we've seen the last 2 times out. So hopefully that continues. I'd love for him to win that Cy Young just because, he's a Braves pitcher. I love watching him pitch, and I picked him to win the Cy Young. But again, more importantly for the Braves, it's keeping him healthy, getting him in a rhythm, getting him in a groove going into the postseason. Now, as for the other 2 starters, Chirinos, another dud for him, 4 innings, 7 hits, 1 walk, 4 earned, 4 strikeouts. We got some news we'll talk about a little bit later, but he's going on the IL. So, no real surprise there. I had written down even before that, I would be shocked if he got another start, but I also said that after his previous 2 outings. So I don't know what the Braves' obsession is with Chirinos. Again, I think maybe there's a role there as a long reliever, but I don't think you can keep throwing him out there as a starter. I understand wanting to have the depth, but just not getting it done. It's been 5 outings now. Yes, the Braves have won 4 of those, and that's great, but he's putting his team, behind the 8 ball every time he goes out there because he's given up 4, 5, 6 runs in 4 or 5 innings. So not able to go deep, giving up a lot of runs, not a good recipe typically for winning, but this Braves offense is ridiculous and can cover up those mistakes a lot of times. As for Max Fried, you can tell on this one still battling command, especially early in this game. It was really had to grind in this one. Might have been dealing with a blister or a fingernail. Never heard anything from Max or anything after the game, and you could just see it out there. He kept, trying to wipe it off on his jersey. I was listening to the radio for a while. I know they were talking about it. Looked like maybe he was dealing with some things there on his fingers that was maybe messing up with his grip a little bit. But, obviously he left some pitches up in the zone, gave up a couple of home runs, a hanging curveball to their best home run hitter. So, again, just didn't quite have it, especially again early on, then started to find some groove, gave up, some really hard hit balls in this game. You had an average exit velocity over 90 miles per hour. That is not typical from Max Fried, who typically gets the weakest contact of any starting pitcher in all of baseball. So it just wasn't an overall great outing for him. I think facing this Giants lineup actually helped him a little bit because they're not clicking on all cylinders right now. So it allowed him to continue to keep going deeper into this game, allowed him to get through 5 2/3 innings, did throw 103 pitches. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway here from this game for Max Fried is that he continues to get stretched out. He now has been able to throw over 100 pitches, which is great. As again, right now, the main focus for him is just getting him stretched out, getting him to that normal starting pitcher's workload. And then he just continue working on the timing, command, and grip after being out for so long. So again, no real concerns there with Max Fried. Wasn't his best outing. He still went 5 2/3, only allowed 3 runs. And again, all those coming on home runs. One from Matos was a pretty good fastball in. He probably wanted it in just a little bit more, but I thought it was just a really great swing. And then the one to Flores, he hung a curveball that was set on a tee that I probably could have hit out or at least come close to hitting out. But again, not really worried about Max Fried as he continues to work his way back and still threw a pretty good outing and out away from a quality start. Now, as for the offense was kind of just average on this weekend by its standards. You had, a big home run for Orlando Arcia on Sunday that temporarily gave the Braves a lead. You had a big home run from Acuna to tie the game up on Saturday, but he had just 2 hits and a walk on the weekend. Matt Olson just had a hit and 2 walks on the weekend. 6, 4, and 3 runs in a 3-game series, kind of underwhelming for this offense. And that just speaks more to where this offense is that, maybe they didn't have their best weekend, ever, but they still put up 6, 4, and 3 runs. And with the way the pitching's been going lately, it's going to give them an opportunity to win some games. And they did. They won a couple of games. But again, we're accustomed to seeing this offense putting up 6+ runs every night. So that's why, again, I say this was just kind of a subpar weekend for this offense. That's based on their standards. But really, when you look back at it, it was Ozuna and Rosario. And honestly, it's been Ozuna and Rosario for the past week now that's kind of carried this offense. Ozuna had 3 hits on Saturday. He's hitting .304 in the month of August. He has 12 for 19. He has 12 for 23, from August 12th to August 19th, not counting Sunday where he was over, but from August 12th to August 19th, he's 12 for 23 with 12 hits, 5 doubles, 1 home run, 5 walk, and 1 strikeout. So he's been on a bit of a tear here lately. And then Rosario as well. He had the big 2-run go-ahead home run on Saturday. Really great moment in that game. Give the Braves the lead there in the 8th, and then to finish it off in the 9th with the win. That was an exciting, fun game there. He's so clutch. I mean, again, even when we were having the discussion between Rosario, Pilar, going with the defense over the offense, I maintained during all of that, I still love Rosario for these spots. And I think even if you didn't start him, you could still bring him in in spots like that where he is so clutch and can come up with big hits. But obviously when he's hot right now at the plate like he is, you want to run him out there every day. He had 4 hits on Saturday. He has 11 hits in his last 6 games. He's hitting 339 in August after hitting 164 in July. Again, it's the highs and the lows with Eddie Rosario. You get those with Ozuna as well. But again, as I've been saying, he's been a much more complete hitter this year, giving you some little things, some walks, taking a pitch the other way for a single. Ozuna's done more of that consistently throughout the year outside of April. And even in April, he took his walks, where Rosario, it's batting 200 one month, batting 300 the next month. It's just, there's huge highs and lows there. But, again, when these guys are hot like they are right now, they can help carry an offense. And it's really been those two the last week or so, as Olsen started to come back down to earth a little bit. Ronald, a little cold by his standards, again, even though he had the big home run on Saturday. And again, that's just a credit to this lineup that, 2 MVP candidates can somewhat, go cold, again, according to based on their standards, come back down to earth maybe a little bit. And you can still have guys hitting 5th, 6th in your lineup that can help carry your offense and bring you some wins, as these two have over the last week. So again, just great, depth in this lineup for the Braves we talk about all the time. Speaking of depth, next we're going to go into the farm system on our Minors Monday recap, talking about Lugbauer, some of the good pitching performances that we've seen, especially Owen Murphy, 9 more strikeouts this week. He's been striking out everybody here lately. We'll discuss all of that next. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting excited for all the fun you're going to have at your next event, whether that's going to a Braves game. I've used Gametime to go to a couple Braves games this year. It's been a seamless experience using them. It's been really easy. They got flash sales right up to the last minute of games that you can get images of your seat so you know what you're purchasing. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the last day of the event, the last hours of the event. The Gametime guarantee also means that you get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Again, create an account at Locked On, or create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Braves will face the Mets again, starting with a series on Monday night at 7:20 p.m. Eastern. Catch every pitch of the Braves' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. All right, it is Monday, so that means it's our minor league recap on Minors on Monday here. We'll go through our top prospects and then each level, as we always do here on Minors Monday. Starting at the top with A.J. Smith-Shawver. Another solid performance for him this past week. 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, 3 earned, and 6 strikeouts. Mentioned it earlier, or in the middle of last week after that outing, really starting to get some good swings and misses on that slider. If he can continue to get that slider working and top it off with that fastball, you put him in a bullpen role here towards the end of the year. I still think there's an opportunity for him there to come in and be a dominant type reliever in the bullpen. I think he at least deserves and gets a look, maybe in September with September call-ups, and could be another way to kind of manage his innings as well, using him in shorter stints. So I'd like to see that. He's already on the 40-man roster. You've already used him. Might as well call him back up. Again, I think he's somebody that could potentially be a big weapon come postseason time. Owen Murphy, I mentioned him. 5 innings, 8 hits, 1 walk, and 4 earned runs, but 9 strikeouts. And, the line is kind of a little bit skewed because he went back out for the 6th. And, look, he didn't get it done, but he gave up 3 singles to start the 6th before he got lifted, so didn't record an out in the 6th inning. Those runs came around to score to kind of tarnish his line a little bit, but 26 strikeouts in his last 3 starts, 16 and a third innings. He's really starting to get in a groove with the strikeouts, starting to dominate more at that level, which is great to see this time of the year, that he's really starting to pick things up. Braden Shoemake, 7 for 27 this past week, a double, a triple, a walk, and 8 strikeouts. Don't love that walk to strikeout ratio, but at least is picking up the hits. Schwellenbach still listed on the IL there for Rome. Don't know when he'll be back. Again, I'm sure the Braves don't want to push him coming back from Tommy John this year. Probably wanted to manage his innings anyway. Darius Vines, 5 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned, 7 strikeouts. Solid performance there from him. And Bioris Taveras, 5 for 20, a double, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. Look, right now, if he's not striking out 10 times in a week, I consider that a win. 4 runs scored and a stolen base. Dylan Dodd, 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 walk, 6 earned runs, 3 home runs given up, 4 strikeouts. Real bummer. He had kind of been pitching a little bit better here lately, but 3 home runs, certainly not what you want to see there, but was at least able to go 6 innings. So that is nice to see him continue to go deep into games as he has here lately. Nacho Alvarez only played in 1 game this week, so I got to imagine he's dealing with a little something there. It was 1 for 4 in that game. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Again, as I always say, it's painstakingly hard to try to find out injury information on minor league players, but again, only played 1 game this past week, so got to be something going on there with him. Luis Guanipo, 4 for 15 this past week, a double, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, and a stolen base. Now going through each level, starting with Gwinnett, Forrest Wall, he comes up, doesn't really play much for Atlanta, gets called back or sent back down, and just picks up where he was, where he's been hitting all year long at Gwinnett. 10 for 22 this past week, a double, a homer, 3 stolen bases. I mentioned Drew Lugbauer at the top. He finally got that promotion to AAA. Goes 8 for 27, a double, 2 home runs, 7 runs batted in, but no walks and 13 strikeouts. So he is typically somebody that will take his walks, but he's also somebody that's going to strike out a ton, but he's also somebody that's going to hit for power. So again, he is doing that. He was at least hitting for power, got the 2 home runs this week. He had one the opposite field as a pitch away. I mean, his front hips flew to right field, and he somehow knocked it out over the wall in left field in Durham there. So again, just big power from Lugbauer. He goes up to AAA and just continues to do what he's been doing all season at AA. Jesus Aguilar, he continues to just get on base, a 7 for 13, a home run, and 5 walks. Michael Soroka, another good outing from him. They did limit him, only 73 pitches in this one as they monitor his workload, but he went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 3 hits, no walks, which is great to see. He did give up 2 earned runs, but 9 strikeouts for Soroka. So a good outing from him. Ben Heller, 3 innings, 1 hit, no walk. He did hit a batter, but no earned runs and 7 strikeouts for Ben Heller. So good to see him kind of getting back on track. We'll see if he gets another shot in the bullpen later in the year. Going down to Mississippi, not much going on here. 1 for the offense, 1 for the pitching staff. Luke Waddell, 9 for 22, 2 doubles, 3 walks. He's just becoming a little bit of a hit machine, playing some really good defense. I feel like Mississippi's tweeting out defensive highlights of Waddell all the time there. So I don't think he's a very rangy player, but he is just a really good ball player. I think he's ultimately going to be a really solid utility bench piece for the Braves. Allan Rengel on the pitching side started 2 games this past week, went 11 innings, gave up 11 hits, 2 walks, but just 2 earned runs and had 11 strikeouts, a tough 0-2 record for Allan Rengel, and a couple of really good outings there. At Rome, Justin Giannis, 8 for 24 with 2 doubles. Steven Pellini, 7 for 15, 3 doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs. Big power week there for Pellini. Drake Baldwin, 6 for 14, a double, home run, and 5 walks. Cedric D. Grand Prix, haven't said his name in a while. He's been struggling a lot, especially since moving up to Rome after a great start to the season. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 3 earned, and 7 strikeouts. So a quality start there for him. Jorge Bautista on the mound as well. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned, and 6 strikeouts. And then Hurston Waldrop, Braves' top pick from this past year. Another good outing from him. 3 2/3, a hit, 2 walks, 1 earned, and 5 strikeouts. So got a little bit more strikeouts this time than his first start up at Rome. He's been really good in his first 3 starts overall at the professional level. And then finally at Augusta, Drew Compton, 7 for 22 with a double. This kid out of Georgia Tech, he's been one of the more impressive guys coming out here lately at Augusta. He's slashing 288, 376, 452 with 2 homers, 11 walks, and 21 games between the FCL level and Augusta. He's been one of the better offensive performers. Jace Grady had a good week, 7 for 19, a double, 2 homers, 2 walks, and 2 stolen bases. Giancarlos Lara, mentioning him again, he's a guy right now that's getting a lot of talk. 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, no earned, and 9 strikeouts. And then Lucas Braun, another 2023 pick. He had another good outing, 4 2/3, did give up 5 hits and a walk, but just 1 earned run and 5 strikeouts. And then I got to mention Isaiah Drake. He's still behind at the Florida Complex League, but he's starting to get more hits anyway. 7 for 19, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Still don't love that ratio at that level, but again, he is a very young, 18-year-old high school prospect, 4 stolen bases, but a 7-game hit streak going on right now for Isaiah Drake, which you'll take after the struggles that he had out of the gate here. So good to see him get things going. That's our minor league recap for the week. As always, appreciate you listening to that, commenting on that. You always seem to enjoy the minor league update there every week. And hopefully that gives you an idea of some of the players down on the farm, how they're doing, who could be coming up next. If you want anybody else you want to talk about, let me know down in the comments section below. But next, we'll talk about another prospect. He's an older prospect, been doing really good this year, and now he's going to get another opportunity with the Braves. That's Allan Winans, who's getting recalled to pitch on Monday against the Mets. We'll discuss that next. Braves will start another series against the Mets on Monday at 7:20 p.m. Eastern. Catch every pitch of the Braves' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. Talked about it before the break there. Allan Winans recalled, and Chirinos going on the IL with right elbow inflammation. We won't get into that or speculate there, but Chirinos is going on the IL, and that opens up the opportunity for Allan Winans to get a start here. And he's been really good. I mentioned even in his first start against Milwaukee, I know he didn't go as deep, but I liked the stuff. I thought he mixed it up well. His last start against the Mets obviously was great. 7 shutout innings when the Braves pitching staff really needed it. And they've been not getting a lot of innings from their starters the week before that. So that was a huge start there for him. The Braves are going to see if he can replicate it going against the Mets again. He hasn't pitched between that. So that was his last outing against the Mets. Hopefully he can continue to mix things up. We'll talk about that more in a second. But Allan Winans getting recalled, Yonny Chirinos going on the IL. Look, again, I talked about it earlier. The Braves want to keep that depth. Depth is important. The Braves have had to use 16 starters this year. For whatever reason, they see something in Chirinos. They are smarter than I am. I say that all the time on here. They have a plan. They know what they're doing. If you can keep that depth in-house, why not? But I am glad that Winans is getting the opportunity here. Maybe Soroka gets another shot at some point as well. A little bit, some other news. Michael Harris, he missed Sunday's game. He fouled a ball off his foot on Saturday, so they set him out on Sunday. You had the night game and the day game after, so didn't want to push it. X-rays were all good, and he said he expects to be back in the lineup on Monday, so that is great. And then Ozzy was working on the field already as well, so hopefully leading you to believe that it will just be the 10 days that are needed for Ozzy, or hopefully not much more than that, and we see him back up there. So that's great news right there for both of those guys. Now, as for the game on Monday night, it'll be the Mets and the Braves. It'll be David Peterson versus Allan Winans. I mentioned Winans last time out, 7 shutout innings against the Mets. He's been great at AAA all season. He's been good when he's come up to pitch for the Braves this year. Just keep doing what you've been doing. Keep mixing up those pitches. Can he locate them? That's the real question. You saw it in that first inning against the Mets last time where he was walking a bunch of players. I don't think he was really trusting his stuff. I've said before, to me, it's a lot like Bryce Elder. He's got really good pitches with a lot of movement. It's, does he trust him in the zone? Can he live on those edges? Once he kind of fine-tuned that and settled in against the Mets, he kind of got in a rhythm, got in a groove. I tweeted it out there. He was kind of, feeling himself a little bit. He was kind of walking out on the field with a little bit of swag out there. So hopefully that continues. He kind of, continues that into this start and has that confidence. He can get ahead in the count, use those off-speed pitches, which have such good movement to create that weak contact and rack up the strikeouts again if you want to. So really looking forward to seeing him pitch again. As for Peterson, he's been really used more as an opener here lately. He hasn't completed 4 innings since July 8th. He did throw 91 pitches his last time out, so he's capable of going deeper in the games, or at least racking up that many pitches. But even it took him those 91 pitches to get through 3 2/3 innings. So likely he's somebody the Mets are hoping can get through a lineup twice, get you 4 or 5 innings at best, and then they're going to go into the bullpen. So again, hopefully the Braves can get to him early. Somebody they're familiar with. They've seen Peterson a lot. So We'll see what the Braves can do. Hopefully they continue to take advantage of this Mets team that's down a little bit right now and continue to rack up the wins as they look for their 81st win of the season on Monday night, which would guarantee them a 500 record on the year. I think they got bigger hopes and plans in sight than that, but always great for me as a fan when you know your team's going to be a winning team, and the Braves are just a couple of wins away from that. And hopefully they get, again, their 81st win on Monday night, and we get another good start from Allan Winans. Hopefully the offense kind of, again, they were fine over the weekend. They were good by their standards, but want to see everybody else in the lineup kind of get going as well, especially those guys at the top, Acuna, Olsen, Riley, see those guys really get going again. And that really just makes this offense continue to go. It'll be the Braves and the Mets on Monday night at 7:20 p.m. Eastern. It'll be Allan Winans versus David Peterson. Catch every pitch of the Braves hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. That will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of each and every day. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at @ShortstopBall. Make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Also, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.